Folks, here we are again, another Flames of War battle report. Well, here's a look at the terrain. It's kind of interesting. You can see on the flank over here we've got a pretty nasty looking hill section, impassable to cross on the one side. We've got an orchard down there, dirt road, a dirt path coming down here. Got some little scattered farm buildings, nasty woods here on the one flank, and what else we got down here? Some more farmhouses. Nice central hill. Actually, there is quite a bit of stuff going on in the middle of the board. Got a hill here backed up by a woods and the orchard. We got that position over there that's impassable on the cliffside, and this road and the hill, and some more fields and another grouping of buildings. Yeah, that's it so far. So we're playing the no retreat scenario, and US 7th Armored versus standard Panzr company for the Germans, which I'll be playing. And we've yet to choose sides or deploy anything, which will be coming up next. And hopefully I'll be able to slip in some strategies for my side and see what's going on. Alright folks, there it is. See you in a bit for deployment. Okay folks, just finished deployment. The Germans are defending. They're on this half of the board over here. And on the board they have deployed an understrength platoon of Panzer Grenadiers. And they're up here central in that woods there. They've got a total of 4 teams, plus command is 5, and 3 SDKFZ 251 half tracks. They're all spread up in here. They got them along the road, their transport, and they're all kind of stretched from there down to here, gone to ground in the woods. First IC is up there on the other side of the woods. Second IC is down here, both of which are in Panzer IV tanks. And the objectives we are holding on to, the Americans have to get, is that downed plane, and over here, little ammo dump. So my reinforcements will be coming on this short edge, starting on turn 1. And let's take another look over here. So yeah, that's where we're at. And I don't know what he's up to. There's a nice open D-file there if he wants to come through there. I did consider deploying up there on that hill. I'd probably get a few good shots on his Shermans, but I don't have enough firepower to concentrate up there, so he'd probably just wipe me out fairly early. So, yeah, kind of in a protected position. See what he wants to do. I got my Grenadiers in a central position at the woods, so I could react to either side. I don't know. He might come along this end, or he might come along up there. We shall see. As for the Americans, they have priority air. Their entire force is deployed on this side of the board. He has 2 platoons of Shermans, 5 tanks each. One is up here, and one is down here. And each platoon has 3 75s and 2 76 Shermans. Stretched all along this front, he also has a full platoon of 82nd Airborne Infantry with bazooka and mortar support, as usual. Stretched all the way along, so it looks like he's going to be coming up this way over the hill across this road. Still don't know which objective he might go for. And over there he has his tank destroyers, and they've already taken the recon move. They're up to the road, up to the hedge line there, and I do have a team up there which can't see them. And he has a platoon, a battery of 3 priests back here with a spotter Sherman, their staff on the other side of that building, and HQ behind the 1IC's tank. And his first and second IC, there's his second IC down here, he's in a 105 M4A3 Sherman. And over there is the 1IC, he's also on an M4A3 Sherman, except it's a 76 millimeter. So we got 2 M4A3s on the table. We'll be using some Detroit's finest here. This list was drawn from Blood, Guts, and Glory, and it's the 7th Armored, so that's what we're looking at there. Mine is more generic, pretty much elements of the 9th Panzer, but not really. I'm drawn from the actual basic Corps Army lists once again for Panzer Company. I'm happy with that. Seems to be working for me. So, okay, it's pretty early. In reserve, I have a platoon of Panzer IVs, 3 tanks. I've got a platoon of recce units. They're SDKFZ 250s, and I also have a 2nd Understrength Panzer Grenadier platoon. So they're going to be coming along that edge there, that forest. So we'll see what happens. Pretty rugged terrain in the middle of the board. That hill with the high ground and that up there, but I don't know if that's going to come into play. And the objectives, once again, there's an ammo dump right there. He placed that in the airplane in the back, downed Stuka, which I placed that. So let's see where he comes from and what he's going to do. Okay, folks, we're about to hit turn 1. See you then. Okay, it's the end of the American first turn. Let's see what they did. Alright, start down here. They're platoon of Shermans. Cross the road, come up on this flank so I can see where they're going. 2IC right there in the 105. It's behind the hedge, and they were followed up by the supporting 82nd Airborne. So they're making their move across the road, my friends. Over there, on the other side, the other platoon, the 2nd platoon of 70 of Shermans, actually, they moved up to the hedge line, opened up with some pretty nasty shooting with the machine guns. I think they had like 15, 6th, 7th, and 8th, 9th, about 20 dice with their hull machine guns and anti-aircraft 50 cals. Opened up on my position of my Panzr Grenadiers and didn't cause any casualties, but they did manage to pin them down. And not bad. I think they needed 6s to hit because I've gone to ground, concealed, and whatnot. So he didn't cause any casualties, but he did pin down my platoon. And that was about it. No artillery fire. He didn't call in his priority air. And okay, let's go to German turn 1. See what they can do to respond to this mass of Americans coming. Okay, folks, completed the first turn. Brought in some reinforcements. I brought in my my Panzer IV platoon, 3 tanks, and they're up there. I moved them just up behind my 1IC. I didn't double time them, so that's where they're at. I'm thinking I'll bring them up this way. I don't know. He's got a lot of Shermans looking like they're ready to cross, but they're going to support the infantry anyway. I didn't do anything with the infantry. We're gone to ground. I did manage to unpin them. My 2IC still down here, gone to ground, and that's about it. Didn't do much. So let's see. American turn 2 is coming up. American turn 2, fini. Well, let's see what they did. Well, down here, he's got his airborne and his Sherman tank platoon moving up this flank, heading for the objective. Took a few shots at my 2IC, totally ineffective. Up there along the road, he moved up his Shermans as well as his 1IC, I believe. Yeah, 1IC. And they took some shots with machine gun fire on my Panzer Grenadiers, or my Panzer Grenadiers, in the woods. Did nothing. His 276 Shermans, his 1IC, and I believe it's the platoon commander of that Sherman platoon up there. Anyway, those 2 tanks up there are 76s, furthest along the road, and they fired on my Panzer IVs that were coming in as reserve on the German last turn. Didn't do anything, so that was that. He did call in priority air support, dropped some bombs, managed to bail one of my Panzer IVs that were coming in on reserve, once again. And he called in a bombardment of my Grenadiers in the woods. These guys back here, his priests. And they managed to do absolutely nothing. And his observer is right there, by the way, on the top of that hill, and he could see those Grenadiers in there. So that was it. Totally ineffective turn for the Americans. I guess they're going to keep on advancing. We'll see, we'll see. And remember, folks, you have a platoon of 3 Panthers in ambush. So let's see what he's going to do with that. Okay, folks, German turn 2 coming up. Right, German turn 2 complete. Let's see what happened. Well, for reserves, I got my Panzer Grenadiers. I brought them in. Got them over here in a little central location where they can hit either objective, the one over there or the one down here. They're right there in their half tracks. Let's see. I also deployed my Panthers. Maybe too early, I don't know. But, I put them in there. The only thing I had down here outside of the reserves was just my 2IC protecting that objective. So I opted to bring them on. They did actually fire and managed to take out not one, not two, but three Shermans from that platoon right there. One of them was a 76 millimeter. So that was crushing, I think, to the Americans. They passed their platoon morale, however, so they're still good. There's a tank up there yet, 76, and one more tank that's bogged down over there on the hedges. I think it's that one there with the star on it. He's bogged. So yeah, that's the situation. I ambushed him. Took out more than half of his platoon. So that's going to stall his assault here, I'm sure. He's still got the 82nd coming up. And he's still got a strong force on the road up there. I don't know. Let's see. Americans are coming up next. So it's American turn 3 coming up. See you in a bit, folks. 3 for the Americans. Complete. Let's see what happened. Well, overall, it was kind of a bad turn for the Americans. They pretty much consolidated down here. I kind of, after taking out his 3 Shermans, I think he kind of stalled his attack. And he's kind of regrouping here. He's got his airborne down here consolidated. They come off the hill over here and across the road. And taking cover behind the wreckage of his Shermans. Much shrubs and they can find. He's got his 2IC right there in a 105. And a 76 up there from the other platoon. Which only has 2 tanks in it. The second one's there bogged. Anyway, those 2 tanks took shots at my 2IC, who was impossible to hit, needing 7s, so that was a waste. He did call in priority air, though, on my 2IC as well. Or no, it wasn't my 2IC, it was my Panzr Grenadiers back here. That failed to range in, plus I kind of took away some of his strength there with my anti-aircraft guns, so that was ineffective. What else did he do? I believe he called in some bombardment down here as well. I think it was centered on my 2IC from his priests that are way back there behind that field. That was totally ineffective. Did nothing. So I'm in a pretty strong position here. What else did he do? I think those Shermans up there. Oh yeah, I remember, of course. Every one of those Shermans there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All bogged on that hedge. And that isn't a bocage, so he needed to roll 1s to bog on them. So I guess there were some booby traps or something in that hedge. Cripes. So that was just a bad run of luck for those tanks. So yeah, his assault there totally pushed back. Which he actually did assault there, in fact. He assaulted my 1 Panzer Grenadier team that was up there with one of his Shermans that was left. A second one bogged during the assault, so it was only basically 1 Sherman against my platoon of Panzer Grenadiers. I lost, forced to withdraw and retreat, which we are now inside this woods entirely. So not all my troops are dug in now, or gone to ground. And that's about it. He did win that assault. He consolidated and pushed me back further into the woods. When he's got his tank destroyers, he moved them up, being kind of daring there. See what happens with that, because I got my Panzer IVs back here. But I'm moving into the orchard with them. One of them is bailed, and one of them is bogged, right on the edge of the hedge, or the orchard. So I only got 1 effective tank in there, plus my 1 IC on the opposite side. So, see what happens, folks. That's the American turn. It was pretty bad. Let's see if I can pull something off in the next turn. Okay, German turn 3 coming up. Okay, the end of German turn 3. Let's see what happened. Well, I'm getting pretty aggressive now. Moved up my Panthers, as you can see. Actually, I moved them all the way up here, but I stormtroopered back. And I managed to take out one of his 76s. The one right there. So he's gone. So that platoon of Shermans only has 1 tank left. They passed their morale. Next turn for them, they're going to have to make a Sole Survivor test. So that's it. Let's see, I took some machine gun fire on the 82nd Airborne. Didn't do anything. I moved up my Panzr Grenadiers in their half tracks, trying to get them in the farm area. Actually, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with them, but they're there. My 2IC still gone to ground. And let's see. Over there, I brought in my last reserves, which is my recce's. My recce platoon made up of 3 SDKFZ 250s. So it gives me a little anti-aircraft protection for my tanks over there, really. I managed to unbog and unbale some of my tanks. About one tank rebogged, trying to get into that orchard right there. And the rest of the tanks moved up to their positions up here. Took some shots on the tank destroyers, took out a Jeep. And we did take some shots on those that Sherman platoon up here that's all hung up on the hedge. Didn't hit them, but I did manage to take out the one Sherman over here. Had a side shot. Took out his tank there from the side. I got my infantry, my grenadiers in the woods. They're the rest of them are digging in, so they're all dug in right now. Just got to get them all gone to ground at this point. Just hold on to that central position. So he'll have to go around either flank to get to either objective. He can't just run up the middle. So I'm going to hold on to that. That's about it. He didn't disengage his tank destroyers. He took my fire. It was only 2 Panzer IV shots that had moved. It was only 2 shots. And the machine guns, of course, didn't do anything against his M20s. And that was that. So I'm thinking he's going to get those tank destroyers revealed pretty soon. He's got me kind of vulnerable there. But we'll see what happens. That'll be interesting. So, yeah, folks. Looks like I pretty much nullified his attack over here. Something might develop over there. We'll see what happens. As long as he's got this row of tanks all bogged on that little hedge, I don't know if he's going anywhere. So we'll see what happens. Alright, folks. Next turn is U.S. turn 4. See you in a bit, folks. It's the end of American turn 4. Down here, we still have the 82nd Airborne. They basically went to ground. They didn't do anything. They have a bailed and a bogged tank here. The last of that platoon's right there on the road. He's bogged. And their 2IC is bailed still. And again, the 82nd Airborne is gone to ground. Up there they have their OP sitting up on the hill. He called in some artillery on that position up there, which I think is a mistake because this target point is my 2IC, who is not only concealed, but he's also gone to ground. So he's a tough target to range in. So he did fail to range in. He called in air priority air, and that failed to range in. So that was a mistake, I think. What did he do? Up here, that platoon of Shermans, it looks like they're getting very aggressive. His 1IC is still bogged up on that hedge. But all the rest, unbogged, got across. And they hit my Panzer IVs pretty hard. It was a 3-tank platoon. They took out 2. So they wiped out 2 of my Panzer IVs, as you can see by the smoke. With his 76s and 2 75s in that platoon. There's 4 Shermans left. And there's 1 tank left in that Panzer IV platoon. And that last tank is right there, bogged in the orchard. So that's it. He passed his platoon morale, so he's sticking. He did move his tank destroyers all the way up there, up on top of that hill. They got a nice flanking shot, side shots on my SDKFZ 250s. Destroyed them all. I actually destroyed 1, bailed 2. They failed their platoon morale, so they're out of the game. So I lost my 250s. So the only thing holding that side of the board for me is my 1IC and a bogged Panzer IV. Not good. And my Panzer Grenadiers are still stuck in the woods, gone to ground. Down here I have another platoon of Panzer Grenadiers I should say, that are still in their half tracks. Let's see what I'm going to do with them. I might have to move them up to that objective. And my 2 ICs right there, gone to ground. So it looks like this part of the attack for the Americans is kind of stalled, slowed down. But over there, he's got some good success going. He's got 4 tanks left. 2 76s, 2 75s. And his 1 IC is back there on the road, bogged on the hedge. And he's in a 76 Sherman M4A3, in fact. Detroit's finest. So that's the situation, folks. It doesn't look good. Those tank destroyers. I don't know. I don't know. I imagine I'm going to have to pull up my Panzer Grenadiers. Probably head them up into that orchard. I got to get to that objective. So I don't know what he's doing. It's kind of like a pincer move of some sort. Because if I pull away troops from here, I know he's going to do something with these airborne. I'm pretty confident in my Panthers, so we'll see what happens. Okay, German turn 4. Yeah, German turn 4 coming up, folks. Stay tuned. Alright, folks, end of German turn 4, game turn 4. Well, I don't know. Pretty mediocre turn for the Germans. I think I made a mistake somewhere. Let's see. First of all, I unloaded my Panzer Grenadiers over here. Total of 2 squads worth of troops. I still got the command in their half-track back there with the gray top. Let's see what else happened. So yeah, I dismounted them from the half-tracks, moved the half-tracks up. They all got cover. I got 1 infantry unit in front of my 2 IC right there, so he can't fire. Let's see, I moved my Panthers. I'm taking a risk here. I'm shifting my Panthers over to the other objective. I'm thinking, okay, the Panthers did their job pretty good here. They took out the enemy Shermans. Now, most of them. Now let's move over to the other side where there's a bigger threat. And a platoon of Shermans is over there who just broke through my Panzer IV platoon. So I'm thinking, let's go over there and let them do their duty of destroying enemy tanks. So I am in the process of shifting them over onto the other flank. So I didn't get any shots off with them. The last tank of my Panzer IV platoon, which is the platoon commander, he is still bogged at the edge of that orchard, as you can see right up there. And American tank destroyers are up behind those shrubs, which is not good. That's up there. There's 2 of them yet. That's not good. I'm very concerned about that. Nothing my Panthers can't handle. My Panzer Grenadiers, they're still gone to ground. They did open up, 2 of the teams did open up on the 82nd Airborne back here that's still advancing. I did manage to get 4 hits on the 82nd from the Panzer Grenadiers in the woods and the Panzer Grenadiers down here. Their half-tracks were able to get a few shots on them with machine guns, and I only managed 4 hits. So I couldn't pin them. I did manage to take out 2 stands, which is like a third almost of all the stands in there. I think they have 6, 7, 8 stands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? 9 stands? Yeah, they got 9 stands, so I took out 2. So less than a third. Yeah, that's about it. So pretty mediocre. I don't know if I made any critical mistakes. It's kind of... I got nothing over there holding that objective, and he's got a platoon of tank destroyers and 4 Shermans coming up, possibly 5 coming up on that side. So I'm thinking shift the Panthers over there, let them kick some ass, and leave the Grenadiers to hold this position over here and keep that central position held by my other Panzer Grenadiers. I do want that support coming from the center, so I don't want to pull them back. I like having the option of attacking the enemy flank if they do come on either side of the woods. So I'm keeping them where they're at. So far so good. We'll see what happens. Next few turns are going to be critical. Okay, let's see what happens in turn 5. American turn 5 coming up. End of American turn 5. Let's see what happened. Pretty interesting, actually. Let's see. Was airborne, still hunkered down, gone to ground. All deployed there from the road up to the table edge. It was 105 Sherman, which is his 2 IC, and the last Sherman of that platoon of Shermans, 75mm, moved up on the side there. And they took some shots at my Panzer Grenadiers deployed in that farm area up there. Managed to take out 2 teams of Panzr grenadiers and 1 half-track, so pretty effective. Machine guns and a breakthrough gun. This 105 did the damage. There was no morale test for the platoon, so they're cool. They still have 3 more stands, so they lost 2. Don't count the transport, of course. He called in a bombardment on my Panthers from that hill position up there with that Sherman OP, and he managed to range in. Hit him pretty good. He got a bailed Panther right there. So that's the situation there. Didn't do anything against my grenadiers in the woods. On the other flank, he did move his Shermans up to the positions you're seeing now, and he managed to take out my 1 IC in the orchard. Not good. And the last remnants of my Panzer IV platoon, which is right there. He was destroyed as well. So I lost my 1 IC, folks. Right in there behind that tree. He's gone, and he's got 3 76s, 1 IC, and 2 75s. 5 Shermans in all deployed right there on that orchard. His tank destroyers kind of moved up behind the wreckage and are now in possession of that objective. So if they can hold on to that another turn, they're good. Although I do have my platoon commander of that Panther platoon moving up about 6, 7, 8 inches away. See what happens with that. He did call in priority air on my Panzer Grenadiers, but the main target point was destroyed by the 105 Sherman from over there. So that's the situation. So it's getting tight, folks. Getting tight. Germans are up next. See what happens. Okay, folks, be right back. Okay, end of German turn 5. Let's see what happened. Alright, starting down here. Grenadiers defending this farm area. Objective right there by that smoke. I did dismount the rest of the platoon that was inside that half-track, so they're right here now. The rest of them dug in or gone to ground. And the only anti-aircraft support protection I have now is from that command vehicle for the platoon, so that's it. Still got my 2 IC, who's now in charge, gone to ground. Did a little firing on the airborne up there, totally ineffective. I shifted my Panzer Grenadiers in the woods here over against the Shermans on this side of the woods. I shifted them over. I trying to get my Panzerfaust in action. I anticipated assaulting the tanks since I got a nice shot at them there. I mean, that was my whole purpose and strategy, to leave them in the center of the board. I thought I'd rush out and try and slow their advance, but tank terror meant that they could not do it. So there they are, folks, deployed along the path and on the edge of the wood, except for that guy. So that was it. Could not fire. Totally ineffective if they did. Took some shots. I split my fire with my Panthers. The one Panther couldn't spot anybody. The one on the right took some shots and managed to bail the 76 Sherman up here behind the hedge of the orchard. So that tank is bailed into the 76. And the other tanks, one couldn't fire, the other one was at the objective, took a shot at the tank destroyers and rolled double 1s. One for the machine gun and one for the main gun. So nothing there. So his tank destroyers lucked out on that one. Okay, folks, that's all I could muster. Let me see, did I make a platoon test? I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't have to with my company morale test. I didn't have to yet. I think I still got 3 out of 5 platoons in action. So far so good. I don't have to make a morale test. Since I'm down to my 2 IC, kind of risky business now. So he's gone to ground. He ain't moving. Alright, folks, American turn 6, I believe. Yeah, American turn 6 coming up. We'll see what they can do. See if these airborne advance, get into that position, or if they take that objective up there with my Panthers holding on to it by dear life. See what happens, folks. American turn 6. Let's take a look. Well, down here is 82nd. They seem to be moving up on the flank of my Germans there in the woods. He kind of shuffled his forces over there, so they're no longer gone to ground. He's still got his bazooka and mortar teams down here on the flank, on his left flank behind the tanks, right there. He moved up his team up there. basically they're holding back because over here they got a lot of firepower coming down. He did fire with the 105 and the Sherman 75. They fired again, pretty successful. They took out my one half track there. No infantry losses. His tank destroyers made a pretty bold move. They moved through my Panthers up here and used their 50 cals on my squad, or my platoon command that was over there. Lost the vehicle, and now he's dismounted over here. So that's what happened there. Called in priority air, but again his main target was destroyed, which was that half track, so that was useless. One flight, so that's not too much of a loss for him. Let's see, over there didn't turn out so well either. He tried to focus his attacks on the Panthers over here, and he had the two 76s, the one here and the one here, trying to take out these two Panthers right there, and failed. And his third 76, which is his one IC, is right there, got hung up on the edge of the orchard, so that's bogged, unfortunately. He moved his two 75 Shermans up in this direction here. They pulled back. They were over here. So now they're up here. Used their machine guns on my Panzer Grenadiers in the woods here. Didn't manage to do any damage. He did cause 4 hits, which wasn't enough to pin them. And yeah, that's the situation. Other than that, his artillery, his priests did fire. They targeted in on my Grenadiers in the woods. Managed to cause casualties to his own troops. These guys right here. But they made their save. Unfortunately, it pinned his airborne, so they're pinned. So not a very good turn for the Americans. Alright, see what happens next. Germans up next, folks. Turn 6. Be right back. Okay, German turn 6 complete. Let's see what happened. Alright, let's see. Down here, I finally took my 2IC, which is now my company command now, out of gun to ground. He moved up to that area up there, took a shot at the tank destroyers, totally whiffed. Then he moved back with a stormtrooper. My Panthers, they moved up, not much actually, they didn't move much. The platoon commander over there, he did actually move up to this position and took a side shot on the Shermans over there. He did get a bailed tank. The rest of the platoon fired, and the only target they could shoot at in that Sherman platoon was the one that was destroyed, which was right here within the orchard. So that's one less 76 Sherman to worry about. So by the looks of it, he has 1, 2 75s, one IC with a 76, and a platoon commander with a 76, and that's all he's got. So let's see. And one of those tanks is bailed. So, I don't know, that was pretty successful. Nothing overly so. I still control the objectives, so we still got to work hard to get them, that's for sure. He's trying to sneak up behind me with his tank destroyers. He is behind my Panthers. This is going to be interesting because he can ambush them at this point. So I could actually have some M10s, I think, on my rears of my Panthers. So that'll be interesting. And once again, my Panzer Grenadiers, my Panzr platoon, up there in the woods, they decided that they were not going to assault the enemy Shermans, failed their tank terror test once again, and that was that. I did fire with my command team though, which had a Panzerfaust, and that missed. I think I rolled a 1. Oh well, such is fate, my friend, such is fate. Alright, so that's it for my turn. Next turn is going to be a tell-all. Americans are up next, tank destroyers in the Panthers' rear. He's still got 4 Shermans up there, 2 of them down here. Oh yeah, what did they do? They I think they fired as well. Oh no, that's the American turn. What am I thinking? That was the last turn. Alright folks, I'm done. I'm getting late. Starting to lose my mind here. Alright, next turn, Americans turn 7. Right back. US turn 7 complete, and things are getting pretty tight. Let's see. Alright, for one thing, these guys failed to rally from pinned, the 82nd Airborne, so yeah, they're still pinned. off from their own friendly fire. They couldn't call in priority air, and because there's no targets available because of friendly troops in the way. These Shermans did move up. One on each side there. Right there and right here. They stayed in place actually this turn. Fired, put some fire down, took out another team of grenadiers up here. Forced a platoon morale test, which these guys passed with a reroll from the 2IC who is now in command. So they are gone to ground and dug in, so they're a tough situation. But there's only two, plus the 2IC. So we'll see what happens. He's closing in, folks. Over here, he did reveal his M10s. So the tank destroyer is cut loose on my Panthers, to be expected. I got some nice side shots there. Unfortunately, they were only able to bail 2 Panthers, and that's it. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens next turn. They're still in a good position, but that's the situation. Over there, Shermans pretty much stayed in place, opened up with the machine guns, 50 cals on my infantry, managed to pin them. So my grenadiers in the woods are pinned, and there's only 3 teams left out of, I believe, 5. It was an understrength platoon, so they don't have to morale test yet, but they are pinned. What else? That's a bit over there. That's pretty much it. Couldn't call down any firepower from their priest battery because he's pretty much can't see anybody. So I think he made a few mistakes with that. Plus his 82nd being pinned. That's not a fun thing. I'm not sure what he's trying to do with them. He should be advancing either there on that objective or what's left of those grenadiers up in the woods. I don't know. But that's the situation. I don't know. It's pretty much in the air who's going to win this one. And it's in turn 7, so it's getting late in the game too. Those M10s might sway it for him, I'm not sure. We shall see, folks. German turn 7 coming up. Okay, be right back. Okay, folks, German turn 7 complete. Let's see what happened. Wasn't too good for me. Down here, I pulled my 2IC back, took a shot at the Shermans. I managed to bail the 175 right there. I moved them back up into the field there, next to the village, kind of hiding away. They're still gone to ground. Got 2 stands left, 2 teams left from that grenadier platoon. They're still holding out, haven't been shot at. The Panthers, I kind of put them in a position to attack his tank destroyers and managed to miss completely. I think I needed 5s to hit against his platoon there of tank destroyers. They're always considered gone to ground, and they are concealed in the woods, so yeah, needed 5s and I missed. My Panther platoon commander, he's now inside of the orchard, right up in there. I got him in there. He didn't have any problem getting through the rough terrain. I don't know what else happened, except that my grenadiers that were holding the center in the woods, I only had 3 teams left, including the command with the Panzr FoW. I did assault his Shermans, and there was, I think, 3 left. And he basically gunned me down with defensive fire. It was kind of an all or nothing move on my part. But yeah, I paid the price, so nothing survived. And there's the evidence right there, folks. So I'm platoonless, which means company morale tests I have to make in my next turn. I'm down to 1, 2 platoons left. I have the grenadiers here holding this objective, and my Panthers up there holding the second objective. So I don't know. He's got his TDs there. He's got 3 Shermans up there. His 1IC is still hung up on that orchard edge. And he's got a whole 82nd Airborne back here. I think I might have shot 1 stand. What's he got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 7 stands out of 9. So I took out 2. And he's still got his artillery back there. Alright, folks. That's the situation. American turn 8 coming up next. Let's see what happens. Alright, folks, here we are, end of turn 8. See what's going on. Yeah. Starting down here, got the Shermans. They used to be over here. They're up here. Come on the rear side shot of my 2IC, which is now the company commander for my force. And they whiffed. Nothing going on there. 82nd Airborne, still pinned. They could not manage to rally, get off their asses, and move forward in the assault. So, I don't know about that. Tank destroyers come out of the woods, got in a flank position on the Panthers. You can see lots of smoke here. And they got on the side shot of the Panthers and did nothing. Amazing. But the Shermans that were up here, along with the 1IC, did come down this path up here. Hop this little hedge and did get some side shots on my Panthers as well, and as you can see, managed to destroy both of them. So yeah, there you go. That Sherman up there, 75, remained in position, so he got more shots, which helped. And his 1IC, which was over here, hustled over on the side of that platoon commander of my Panthers, and yeah, took him out. So an M4A376 got a side shot on a Panther that was totally concealed in an orchard. Boom, took him out. He is destroyed. So folks, that leaves me at the end of American Turn 8 with 2 teams of Panzr Grenadiers and a 2IC and a Panzer IV. That's my entire German command, which forces a company morale test, which I took, and yes, there is the result of that company morale test. So, game over. The battle has concluded, and the Americans have not only crippled my force and forced me off the battlefield, but they did manage to take that objective at the end of their turn. But there's nothing I could do at the start of mine, so I guess the most I could have done was made a mad rush with my Panzer IV up there, try and contest that objective, but I'm not even sure I'd reach. Yeah, I guess I could get there if I hop that little hedge. But, I don't know, probably would have blasted me and that'd be the end of that. So yeah, folks, that's it. Alright. Okay, folks, that's pretty much the end of the battle. It's quite intense, quite fun and enjoyable, as always. Like I say in all my battle reports with Flames of War, if you haven't tried the rules, give them a shot. They are really worth it. I know that every game I've played has been intense and just very enjoyable. It's a recreation of World War II battle. It's a very enjoyable learning experience. I highly recommend it. But anyway, the battle. It's pretty good. It's hard to play this scenario, really, because you don't know what's going to happen. Who's the attacker and who's the defender, what you're preparing for. I pretty much got what I needed in my reserves when I needed them. I had no problems with that. I wanted to really hold this central position in the center with the woods, and I knew if I lost it, I'd create some problems. And I think I made a mistake. I think it was like turn 6 or 7 where I assaulted his Shermans over there and come out with my Panzer Grenadiers from the woods and lost them, basically. Of course, I took a lot of damage with them. I mean, I was down to like 3 teams before they were gone, but once I lost that, he was able to just move right down that little path there and get on the sides of my Panthers, and that cost me. They're basically responsible for destroying my Panthers in 1 turn. So, yeah, that was pretty rough. Cost me the game, really. Overall, I think the Americans probably made a few mistakes. I mean, and some bad luck. I mean, they couldn't get the 82nd into action when they needed them late in the game. Artillery wasn't too much of a big deal, nor was air power, really. Some cases he didn't even use his air power. When he did call it in, found out later that the target was already destroyed, or his troops were so close to the enemy that he couldn't range in. I'd say the artillery did better than the aircraft. And they seemed to focus on this area a lot, and it hurt. They did take out my half-tracks and some infantry. But overall, I think that 105 really proved its worth as a 2IC vehicle anyway. I'd have to say that if you use Blood, Guts, and Glory, it really is a good set of lists for the Americans, the armored lists in particular, because of the you're able to spread your 76mm tanks out within your squads, and that's pretty potent instead of having them all consolidated in a single platoon. It's pretty nice having them spread around a little bit. I like that. And the same with the 105s. They're handy tanks for the Americans to have. I know that. They prove their worth. Yeah, and this was the 7th Armored Division, so that's from Blood, Guts, and Glory. Good book to get. And the Germans are pretty much what I usually use right now until I get my 9th Panzer, SS Panzer Division finished. It's just the generic Panzer company. But they do pretty good overall. So as far as the battle reports I've posted, this is the first one that I've lost with the Germans. So yeah, very good game. I totally enjoyed it. I don't know what else I could have done differently. I think I used my troops properly. I'm just losing that central position. Too bad. His tank destroyers paid off for him in the end. I mean, they really had me thinking and worried. They got me exposing my flanks. That was worth it, I think, even if they didn't actually destroy a tank. Yeah. Alright, folks. Let's look at the game setup and what's going on. Our Panthers ready for action. A lot of carnage. And our Panzer Grenadiers holding the objective tight. 2 IC. Alright, folks. I hope you enjoyed the battle. I'll have another one coming up pretty soon. So stay tuned, folks. I got more coming. More new painted models to add. And I'll see you guys real soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoy. Any questions, just send me a message. Alright, folks. Bye-bye. Till next time.